Why do you want to have your oxygen uptake well? Like, why do you want to be able to have a lot of oxygen inside your body? What are the benefits of having a lot of oxygen in your body? Well, for one, we mentioned a little earlier, energy, 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 energy. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Untapped Healing, where we help you tap into your healing potential. In this episode, in this three-part series, we're going to be diving deep on how to triple up your oxygen intake. If you're interested in increasing your oxygen so you have the energy to execute on your life like no other, feel free to stick around. This series is gonna absolutely go ham on it. Today we're starting off with oxygen. But before we start, I really want to give a shout out to Eddie, to the GOAT at Reliant Carpentry. I'll link them in the description below if you guys need the realest carpentry done in your house so your house looks super spiffy. Be sure to check out all of his services in the description below. But let's get right into it. So, oxygen. When we're talking about oxygen, we're talking about the mineral that your body needs to function at its highest capability. Like, if you really want to know if you are depleted on oxygen, then you would be out of breath all the time. You would be fatigued. You would have cramps from not getting enough oxygen inside your system. Another thing that we suffer from is dehydrated brains. We went over a couple of videos ago. Yeah, we suffer with dehydrated brains when we don't have enough oxygen inside of our system, and then we suffer from headaches. We want to make sure that if we don't want to suffer from anything that has to do with oxygen deprivation, then we need to be making sure that we are consuming oxygen in all the forms that will be mentioned in this three-part series. In this episode, we're going to be diving deep on the foods that help bring oxygen into your body. Now, to pop it off, I want you guys to listen to a really amazing doctor that I listen to all the time. Listen to what he has to say about dates and what effect they have on your body.
It's great that we can improve athletic performance eating a few beets. But so what if you run 5% faster? It can be a fun experiment to eat a can of beets and maybe shave a minute off your 5K time. But these are the people who could really benefit from a more efficient use of oxygen, those suffering from emphysema. Yeah, young, healthy adults eating greens and beets can swim, run, cycle faster and farther. But what about those who get out of breath just walking up the stairs? Do nitrate-rich vegetables work where it counts? Yes, significantly extended time on the treadmill after 2 shots of beet juice. It's great that beet juice can decrease blood pressures in young, healthy adults, but what about those who really need it? Older, overweight subjects. Just 1 shot of beet juice a day versus berry juice as a control, and in a few weeks a significant drop in blood pressure, but within just a few days after stopping, after 3 weeks of beating themselves up, blood pressure went back up. So we have to eat our vegetables and keep eating our vegetables. Why did it take until 2015 to publish a study on lowering blood pressure in people with high blood pressure? You'd think that'd be the first group to try it on. Who's going to fund it, though? Big Beat? Blood pressure medications rake in more than $10 billion a year. You can't make billions on beets. But that's why we have charities, like the British Heart Foundation, which funded a study to give folks with high blood pressure a cup of beet juice a day for 4 weeks. After all, high blood pressure may be the #1 risk factor for premature death in the world. In 10 years, it could affect nearly 1 in 3 adults on this planet. But put them on beet juice, and blood pressures dropped and kept dropping until it was stopped after a month. With so many people with high blood pressure, even despite treatment, an additional strategy based on the intake of nitrate-rich vegetables may prove to be both cost-effective, affordable, and favorable for a public health approach to hypertension. What about those with peripheral artery disease? Tens of millions with atherosclerotic clogs, impairing blood flow to their legs, which can cause cramping pain in the calves called claudication, due to lack of blood flow through the blocked arteries, severely limiting one's ability even to just walk around. But just drink some beet juice and walk 18% longer. Now this is really neat. I've never seen this before. They measured the actual oxygenation of their blood within their calf muscle. Placebo's in white, beet is in black, showing how they were able to maintain more oxygen in their muscles with just vegetables. The nitric oxide from vegetable nitrates not only improves oxygen efficiency, but oxygen delivery by vasodilating blood vessels, opening up arteries so there's more blood flow. I'm surprised beet juice companies aren't trying to position themselves as veggie Viagra. It could certainly explain why those eating more veggies have such improved sexual function. Though this study was just a snapshot in time, so you can't tell which came first. However, it seems more reasonable that low fruit and vegetable consumption contributes to erectile dysfunction, rather than the other way around. What about the most important organ, the brain? Poor cerebral perfusion, lack of blood flow and oxygen in the brain, is associated with cognitive decline and dementia, and they show that the nitrate in vegetables may be beneficial in treating age-related cognitive decline. They showed a direct effect of dietary nitrate on cerebral blood flow within the frontal lobes, the areas particularly compromised by aging. This is a critical brain area for so-called executive function, basic task and problem-solving, important for day-to-day functioning. The nitrite from nitrate has been shown to not just increase blood flow to certain areas of the body, but also acts preferentially in low oxygen conditions, allowing it to increase blood flow precisely in the areas where it's needed the most. And that's what they found in the brain. Increased blood flow to the at-risk areas of the aging brain. And the only side effects of beating your brains out? A little extra color in your life.
Now that we understand that we need to consume foods that are rich in nitrates, check out these foods that are absolutely rich in nitrates.
So if you want to try this at home, either to boost your athletic performance or protect yourself from cardiovascular disease, which foods are the best sources? What do you think? Is it beans, bulb vegetables like garlic and onions, fruiting vegetables like eggplant, squash, tomatoes, green leafies, mushrooms, root vegetables like carrots, beets, potatoes, or stem vegetables like asparagus and celery? Well, in milligrams per 100 gram serving, greens win the day. Here are the top 10 widely available sources. And with all this talk about beet juice, you'd think beets might be number 1, but they just barely made the top 10 list. Swiss chard has more. Next comes oak leaf lettuce, then beet greens, basil, spring greens like mesclun mix, butterleaf lettuce, cilantro, rhubarb, and arugula, also known as rocket lettuce. Now, beet juice would actually be here, but we always want to choose whole foods to maximize the nutrition.
Not only do we want to be consuming foods that are rich in nitrates, but Dr. SEBI goes ham on explaining the foods that are rich in iron.
She said, you always say that oxygen is a cell proliferant. I said, yes, oxygen is the real food. You could eat the best food in the world, and I hold your nose and your mouth for 2 minutes, what happens? You're dead. Yeah. Telling us that the cells need what? Oxygen. Oxygen. The more of it you get, the more alive you are. She said, okay. And the next one, which is the substance that electrifies the system and removes inflammation? Iron fluoride. So I went to Africa. I got the Cancansa. I went to Honduras. I got the guaco. I went to Mexico. I got the lily of the valley, which is nothing but iron. And I got all these iron herbs, and I put them together along with the herb that has what? Oxygen. And if you believe that herb does not trap oxygen, well, you got another guest coming. When I come back to New York, I'm going to bring the herb, and I'll put it in a glass of water. And as the herb goes down, you will see blub, 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 oxygen coming from the herb. There is another herb that has oxygen. It's the marula. It has so much oxygen that it owns the water. So when you combine these herbs, oxygen and iron, you come up with the viento. And when you take it, the first thing you're going to feel is that you're going to sleep like a baby. You're going to have energy. This Venezuelan man came to throw away the trash from the house about 2 months ago, And I gave him some. I said, take this with you, young man. He came back next year and said, my wife loves you.
And I hope you guys understand now how important oxygen is. Dr. Sebi just broke that down, and he really tried to connect the dots there. And yet he offers his products. I don't know how trustworthy his products are now that he's not the one running the show. So I won't link any of his products in the description below. But what I say is incorporate the herbs that he's mentioned. And I'll make sure that those herbs are prominent so you guys understand. Incorporate those herbs into your diet, because having that high level of oxygen inside your system will allow you to function at your highest capability. And if you're interested in functioning at your highest capability, then feel free to incorporate what you learned in this video today, because it's not just about learning, it's about applying what you've learned. Please go forth and apply what you've learned so that you could be fully oxygenated through food. So you're tripled up on oxygen through food. Thank you guys for sticking around for this long. I hope to see you in the next one. Part 2 will be on water. And if you want to understand how you could bring oxygen into your body through hydration, then we'll be diving deep on that real soon. Thank you guys. Absolutely love you guys. And I hope to see you in the next one. Stay well.